Hi, my name is Ron Hood, and welcome to Volume 10 of the Woodsmaster series, where we teach you to be the Woodsmaster. In this volume of the Woodsmaster, we're going to be taking you into the mountains of Idaho to show you how to apply the skills that you've learned in the other Woodsmaster videos. That's why we call this particular video Survival Camping. And why do we call it that? Well, you see, in survival camping, what we've done is put together something like a little parachute or a safety box or whatever you want to call it, but something that will help you along in case there's a real emergency while you're testing your skills. This could be a sleeping bag and a little bit of extra food. It could be a lot of things. But in this video, what we've done is we've taken a group of 12 folks who learned their skills from the Woodsmaster series into the woods on a survival trip, and each of them gets to carry a little safety pack. There's something else that you need to know. When you see the folks in this video, you're going to look at those packs and say, golly, they got a lot of stuff. Well, I guess in some ways they do. But those packs are mostly filled with pieces of gear that these folks wanted to test out. You're going to see that in my own gear. I carry about 30 pounds of knives with me. Lots of stuff that needs to be tested. And you know what? Survival camping is the ideal chance for you to test the lightweight gear. There may be 3 or 4 pieces of that lightweight gear, but it's a chance for you to test it all out and see if it works. Well, was there any challenge to this kind of a trip? You betcha. You see, we only allowed 1 MRE per day. Meals ready to eat or meals rejected by everyone. You call it what you want, but it's pretty nasty chow. Each person got 1 of those per day, and they also get 8 breakfast bars and as much coffee as they want to drink. So how's that? So you can see now what we're looking at is probably about 800 calories per day in the food they get to carry in. And I'm guaranteeing they're going to be burning 3,000 to 4,000 calories per day on the trail. Well, that's what you got. So let's get started. The first thing I wanted to do is talk about the clothing that was allowed on the trip. And I've got a little stack here that represents pretty much what everybody was allowed to take. Of course, you get to have a belt along. I like this kind of belt here because it's got a money place in it here, a little money belt thing. And of course, it's good and strong. Then I have a little bandana. Everybody's allowed to take 3 of these things. This is not only a bandana, but it's also what we call the ass rag. Nobody's allowed to take toilet paper on these trips. We only have these rags. Of course, the key is to make sure that you don't confuse your ass rag with your bandana. The next thing is the pants. Now, I don't use very much cotton at all on trips like this because cotton can kill. Once it gets cold, it stays cold. But these pants here are nylon, and you can see they're a zip-off kind of pants. So not only are they a pair of long pants, tight weave nylon, but they're also my shorts. If I need shorts, just zip off the legs. They're allowed a t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt of some kind. This one here is again a nylon blend and very comfortable, lots of pockets. Then they're allowed a long sleeve shirt made of fleece. This is kind of your heavyweight insulation garment. This particular one has a little hood on it, but it's a fleece garment and very warm even when it's wet. Did I mention a hat? Get a hat. And the last thing is a shell garment of some kind. This is a windbreaker. This cuts the heat loss through convection. So when you put all these clothes on, you've got quite a bit here. And not much of it goes in your pack. Most of the stuff is stuff that you get to wear on the trail. So there you have it. That's it for clothes. The knife is your primary tool in survival, and I brought along a few of them. A lot of these are for testing. I wanted to find out how they perform and what I could do with them. First thing I'd like to show you is a little thing here called the Fire Genie. This is made by Rick Palm, and Rick is one of the folks in this group. But it's a little blade here with some serrations on it, and a fire striker that's held right here at the top of the tool. So you can wear that around your neck, and you've always got a way to start a fire that way. And it looks kind of cool. I like it. So that's one thing. Now the primary tool that I would take if I just had one knife would probably be this one here. This is my Swiss Army knife with the saw and so forth, and you've seen this at work in all of the videos. Something else I brought along was the ATAX. This is our new tool, one we designed and being made for us by Tops. And this thing's been in production, or not in production, but rather in development for quite a long time now. and we're down to the final strokes on that. Wanted to make sure that we had the thing in operating condition and all the parts and pieces worked well and everybody liked it, and they did. So we have the ATAX along with us. Now, that's not the only tops knife I brought. I also brought this little guy here. It's called the Mountain Hunter. It's an A2 steel knife that they make. It's great for skinning. It's great for carving. It's a durable little knife made on 1/4 inch stock. Beautiful, like all of the work that they do over there at Tops. I also have their little street scalpel. This one here. Now this little knife is crazy. This thing is so tough. I use it for anything where I need to really brutalize something. But it attaches to the bottom of my ATAX, something like this. Now, I wanted to do some other testing. And one of the things I wanted to test along on this trip were the knives that were made for me in Volume 9 of the series. This one here is made by Tim Lively, and it was made out of a pickup truck spring, and you saw it being made right there in the video. And I really wanted to try out a hammer forged knife and see how she worked. Well, this little guy was great. It's still got the original edge on it, sharp as a razor, and really held up great. I love that little knife. Easy to carry, it's accessible. God, nice. And here's the one made for me by Tai Gu. This makes a pretty respectable little chopper. It also is a hammer forged spring, and by golly, this little sucker was pretty tough too. And I'm very pleased with both of the hammer forged knives. I also brought along a little Talonite blade here. It's a little skeleton blade made by Rob Simonich. And it's just a little test piece that I was taking along. But it's boy, it holds an edge too. You might wonder how I could dull all these knives. Well, I really can't. As much as I use everything, this is a lot of knives to work with. And finally, in my pack, I carried along my Anaconda. I've had this thing for a couple of years now, and it's been through a lot with me, and I just don't leave home without it any longer. So those are the blades that I carried on this trip, and you can say, well, that's more than you need. And you know what? You're right, it's a lot more than I need. But I wanted them, so I carried them. This here is my food pack. I put all my food into a little day pack, and then I strapped that on the outside of my load-bearing vest, which you'll see in just a minute. But everything fits in here. Right now there's not very much in here, just a couple of MREs, and that's about the extent of it. But when it's filled with food, with those darn MREs, boy, this sucker is big. But you see it has compression bands on it here to bring it down, to make it smaller, so it'll fit smaller and smaller spaces as I go through the food. So I carry my food that way. Now I keep mentioning MREs. This is an MRE here. If you haven't seen one before, there are a lot of different manufacturers for them, and they come packaged like so. They're kind of bulky. This is just one meal, but it contains a lot of different items, and they look something like this. This one here happens to have chickens, vegetables, and noodles and sauce. Yummy. It's also got some crackers and a chocolate chip cookie and peanut butter and some iced tea and fork and spoon. And then of course you got a little dessert. This one is apple slices and spiced sauce. Ugh. Well, anyway, that's what it looks like. You can see there's a lot of packaging here. This is what the actual MRE entree looks like. Now I've noticed over the years that a lot of people, when they're going to eat them, slice it across the top and then try to reach way down in the bottom to get their food. If you're the kind that does that, let me show you something here. Just shake that puppy up a little bit. By the way, I don't feel badly about wasting one of these. I'm sure not going to eat it. There we go. Just slice the top off like so, and oh geez, there it is, ready to eat. I think the dogs will turn their heads at this one. I think next year we'll just bring dog food, go right to the source. The last thing, something that I really like, and you'll see a lot more of shortly, is bannock. I allow everybody to bring 1 pound of bannock with them on a trip. So Karen carries a pound, I carry a pound, and everybody else does too. And you'll see some uses for this stuff. It's really wonderful food. So that's what we do on the chow end. Here's some other stuff you're going to see in the video that I carry on these trips. One of these is about 15 feet of 1-inch tubular webbing, a carabiner, and then about 25 feet of, I think this is about 6mm cord. These are like emergency things. If I need to lift something heavy, and you'll see it being used in that way, I've got this stuff available. So I always carry that with me. It adds a little bulk, but there's a lot of usability and flexibility with this. You're also going to see this little bag hanging around my neck from time to time, and this is our camera gear. We keep it all packed in here, and along with batteries and so forth, and when it's all loaded up, it probably weighs in around 15 pounds or so. It's a pretty good load, but it all fits in that little container there. So now let's get on to the big thing. This is how I carry my load. It's called a load-bearing vest. Now you can see right on top is a little handgun in case we run into something cantankerous that needs adjusting. It's also okay for hunting if you want a lot of little pieces of rabbit. Now the vest itself has lots of pockets on it, as you probably can see, but let's start with the pockets on the back first. Down here in this big pouch, this is where I keep my tube tent and my blankets. I have two poncho liner blankets. You'll see those later on in the video, but I keep both of those in here. This is actually large enough for a small sleeping bag. Then there are these three longer pockets up here. Let me show you a little bit about those. The first one that you see here is where I keep my water and my cooking. Basically, you've seen this before in volume 3. We've got a 1-pound coffee can. This is what I do my cooking in. And then I've got my 1-quart wide mouth plastic bottle. And you can see it's wrapped at the top here with about 2 feet of duct tape. You never know when you might need some tape. I've also drilled the end out, and I put in a little piece of tubing here so I could drink while I'm on the trail. You can get this tubing at any of the supply houses that handle fish and so forth. They have little valves for it and everything. It's very inexpensive. I think this is about 15 cents worth of tubing and a 15-cent valve. Not very much, and it lasts forever. But that all fits right in there like that. Nice compact package, and then slides down into the pocket. The next pocket over contains even more stuff. I'll try to bring this out of the package. What I've got here is my coffee cup. That's absolutely essential in the morning. Without the coffee cup, we're in trouble. Inside of that is my poncho. Just rolls up like so. This is a standard poncho. Rolls right up, and it fits inside this other silver doodad here. Well, what is this? This is my little stove. I carry along some of these things here. These are called trioxane fuel tablets. And one of these will burn for, about 3 minutes or so. They burn very, very hot. They're very easy to ignite. I carry about 20 of these along with me. Now, why would I carry them? Well, one thing is if we have to start a fire and it's raining like crazy out, I can always ignite these, and this will start a fire. It's going to burn very hot, as I say, for about 3 minutes. So that will light your fire. If I want to, when I wake up in the morning and I'm anxious for that first cup of coffee, I can just toss a couple of these in the bottom of my little doodad here and set my can on top and heat up the water. It takes about, say about 4 minutes to heat a quart of water to coffee temperature, and that's about all I can stand once I wake up. So there you go there. Now, those little trioxane fuel tablets are just about everywhere in this pack. On this side over here, I carry my trash bags, and then I have a little first aid kit here. This is a more advanced first aid kit with some salves and so forth. So that's the back of the pack. Now let's take a look at the front. These 6 pockets down at the bottom of the vest are the pockets that I use the most. They have the things in there that I need quickest and most frequently. For instance, I have my mini kit in here. I have my water purification iodine, which you saw in volume 3. I have some lip salve. The pocket next to it is pretty much the navigation and information pocket. What I've got in here is a little AM/FM radio. If we're out there and a big storm rolls in, it's good to be able to tune into a local station and get some sense of what might be approaching. I also keep my compass in here. There it is there. A notebook and a sharpening tool for my knives. And you can see how important that might be. And then down at the bottom I've got gum and some other odds and ends like that. Next pocket over is the GPS. This is very valuable these days. I just take it out and push the button one time, and that locks in my position on the GPS. It's pretty much just clunk like that, and it locks in where I am, and from then on I can always get back to where I was, no matter what happens. Next pocket over is observation gear. I have my binoculars buried in there. These are little 10 by 25 binoculars. I think these are made by Minolta here. And yeah, Minolta. Really nice little binocular and very compact and lightweight. This is a food pack. believe it or not. It has just the essentials in it, and if I just pick the vest up with this in here, I'm good for 3 or 4 days. Doesn't seem like much, but you see it's got coffee. That's really important. Gotta have that coffee. It also has about 15 little food bars stuffed in there like so. And these are about 260 calories a piece, believe it or not. And so I just need a few of those each day, one in the morning, 1 or 2 in the morning with coffee, one in the middle of the afternoon, and then a couple at night for dinner. And that's it. That at least keeps me on the run. And then finally, over on the other end, I've got a space blanket, and I've also got another little kit with more mini kit components in it. So that handles the bottom pockets. You might also notice that I've got a lot of these little kind of clip rings here on things, and these are handy in just a whole bunch of different ways. Now let's move up to the upper pockets. These are normally used for magazines for handguns, and of course I keep one in one of these, but I also keep other odds and ends in here, just stuff that I figure I might need along the trail. I don't know what's in here. Oh, I have batteries, spare batteries for the GPS or the lights or whatever, and that kind of sort of stuff, but mainly one of these will be filled with a magazine. This is actually the first aid kit. This is the one that if there's an emergency, I zip this baby open and I've got what I need. So when I zip it open, if the emergency happens at night, I've got a little flashlight. This little thing here called a VersaBrite lasts about 6 hours on one set of AA batteries. And it's really a bright little flashlight. It kicks out a lot of light and it hooks right to my forehead. I don't have to put nails in the head or anything. It just kind of sticks on there. And I've got insect repellent and more coffee. And a cutter kit for snake bite and so forth, a regular first aid kit, and so forth. So that's kind of where I keep the emergency stuff. Finally, I have one more flashlight in here. This is called a PAL light, and this is an LED light. It has 3 different modes. It has just off, of course. That's not a mode, it's just there. Then a low bright, a high bright, and then in the third position, it flashes every once in a while. So I can set this up and it'll flash. This will actually flash for about 3 months in that mode. How long does the battery last? Well, it's one 9-volt battery, and it's good for a couple of weeks constantly on, like that, which is pretty amazing. So I've got one light that's good forever and takes a lot of shock, and it's also pretty watertight. One more thing I keep on here is a little photon light. This is just clipped right onto the zipper on my emergency pack here, so I always know where there's at least one light. Even in the middle of the night I can reach over, grab my vest, and push that on, and then I could find the real flashlight. So that's the stuff in the pockets on here. You'll see other odds and ends clipped on here. I've got a couple of carabiners, and I've got an extra watch, and all that sort of thing. But I do like to carry my load this way. It keeps it straight down on my shoulders, and that leaves my hands free to move, and if I want to get a little more comfort, I just unzip it a little bit. And something else about using this kind of vest, it has all these little snap spots on it here. And these little snaps will allow you to put in insulating panels if you want to. Of course, I don't carry those, but you could snap those in. You can also snap on sleeves if you want. And then it's got an interior pocket here where if you wanted to, you could put a water bladder in there. Or if you're really afraid of somebody shooting you, you could put a ballistic panel in there and it'll protect you from gunshot in that area. I don't think I need that much, but there you go. So that's how I carry my gear. I think it's about time for us to get moving here. What do you think? Earlier I mentioned that we allow the use of bannock on our trips. We use bannock because it's easy to make, it's nutritious, it's inexpensive, and it works well. It's very flexible. So let's go visit Karen in the kitchen and see how to make this nutritious and fun chow.
Hi, I'm Karen Hood, and I'm going to show you how to make a bannock. Bannock is a really versatile food that we are allowed to bring up with us to supplement our calorie intake for the day. In addition to eating 1 MRE per person per day, we are allowed to eat bannock. You can eat it in the morning, the afternoon, or for dinner. And I guess the prepared product that is most similar to bannock would be Bisquick. But this is it tastes a lot better. You can add more fat to it if you want to, and it is more nutritious and has more calories. So let me show you how to make bannock. Here's the ingredients for your basic recipe for bannock. You have 1 cup of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of margarine. You can add a little bit more margarine if you want a little bit more calories or more fat in your recipe. And optional is 2 tablespoons of skim milk powder. This just gives it a better consistency and it adds a little bit of flavor and a few more calories. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sift all of these together. Now I am using white flour. You can substitute, for this white flour, you can substitute whole wheat flour or any other kind of flour that you want, anything that you prefer. So we're going to sift all these together. I need to do a tablespoon of the baking powder in there too. We're going to sift all the dry ingredients together into a mixing bowl. You can mix this by hand, but I'm going to use my mixer. I'm going to use that anyway. That milk is just not, is too big to get through that sifter, and I know it's not going to get clumped up because I've done it before. So, alright, what we're going to do is we're going to add our butter, 3 tablespoons of butter in this instance. I usually add a little bit more, but this time I'm just going to use the 3 tablespoons. I'm using margarine in this recipe. I prefer to use margarine because it doesn't go rancid as quickly as butter and it's more pliable in colder temperatures. But like a lot of people, I call margarine butter and butter margarine, so if I do that, you'll know I'm talking about margarine in this particular recipe. And I can't get this on here. Now that I have the mixture all in here, we're going to start it off on low speed, and we're going to keep it there. And we're going to keep it there until the margarine gets mixed in, and the consistency, it takes quite a while. The consistency is going to be like granules of sand. So we're just going to let this continue to go until it's ready. Around the edges, so you gotta stop it and clean off the edges and start again. Okay, this looks like it's just about done. It's the consistency of sand. I'll show that to you right now. See, it's a little sandy. And because that fat is mixed in there so well, you can see that you can actually form it together a little bit. This is going to make a good dough when you get up there. Now what we're going to do is add this to a Ziploc. And on my Ziplocs, I like to carry these in Ziplocs because it's easy to, you can fold them and just stuff it in your pack any way you want. I like to put bannock on the outside of it. Another thing that I like to do is if I have some specific recipes that I want while I'm up there, I'll put the recipe and just write it right on the Ziploc. So we're just going to add this bannock to the Ziploc. This makes about a pound. This recipe makes about a pound of bannock. And for this trip, this was enough for Ron and I to share on the trip. So you can take this for yourself if you like bannock a lot, or this is good enough for 2 people. Now you're going to see a lot of uses for this bannock coming up in this video. It's a really versatile food, and it tastes great.
crispy on the outside, sweet under that with a hard little rough core. That's peachy.
That's perfect. I like that. I haven't heard
That's
that.
what I told them Georgians when I went down to Atlanta there
Perfect.
for the Blade Show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, what'd they say?
That's as
thought
good
that
as
was
description
pretty
as they ever heard.
That's
Yeah.
the best.
Said you guys are into these peaches down there.
We've done that. Skin them all the way down to the smile, you know. So, we will walk some distance apart, give yourself a little space. After about 2 or 3 days on these things, when we're on the trail, your body will be adapting to new water. There's organisms in the water that you're probably not used to. Food certainly is going to change the way you process your food. A lot of things are going to happen, but the long and short of it is there's a primary effect, and it's gas. And at that point, the space between hikers is automatically increased.
Yeah.
When we take folks out to learn survival skills, we first like to put a little mileage between the outside world and us. 2 days of foot travel is usually enough to give us reasonable protection from the casual hiker. Once we reach a comfortable camp on our second or third day, we settle in for a few days of working with our skills and building up our inventory of primitive tools and supplies. Not long after we arrived, the trackers set about gathering thistles for food and making their shelters. Keeping in mind the rules laid down in the shelter video, they set up shelters in ways that took advantage of the environment. When I first looked at the variety of shelter designs being constructed, I knew that I had a very imaginative group. Some of these folks would sleep cold that first night, but one cold night would soon fix that. Radio Ray even brought along a homemade ham radio with which he communicated with his friend in Colorado, over 1,000 miles away, twice a day. Eric created the first ever claustrophobia shelter. Finally, it was time to get to work on our skills. Navigation comes first. Remember, getting lost is not part of the adventure. We can do that. We'll also be able to show you how to set up, how to adjust for magnetic declination. How many people don't know what, well, how many people know what magnetic declination is? Okay. A couple questions. You do? I do. Okay. So around here, the magnetic declination is about 16 degrees east. That means, of course, that you're, is that what we came up with, 16? Almost 17, is it?
That's 16.
16. Your compass is pointing 16 degrees to the east of true north. Now, celestial north, which is the one that's identified by the North Star, is only a very small percentage off. It's, what is it? I don't know, a few minutes off of true north. Hmm?
It's 4.
4 minutes? So that's pretty damn close. It's a lot closer than you're going to do with your compass, you know, ballpark 2 degrees or something on this. So that's pretty good. What I'm saying now is that stick that we can use to determine our latitude, pointing at the North Star, can also tell us what our magnetic declination is, because we can point our compass along the line of north, true north, identified by the North Star, and the needle will point at your declination. So if you don't have a declination diagram on your map, which is how they identify it, that's this little degree right in here. There's a little arrow at the bottom of your map that shows your declination. You can determine it. Some of these maps do not have a declination diagram.
And old maps have wrong ones.
And old ones have wrong ones, exactly.
It does drift here.
Try to adjust your magnetic declination, and that's done on the back of the compass. So you can turn this little arrow here, this longer arrow rather, until it's pointed at your declination, and then the
so you
compass
can set it and
automatically.
then you never have to.
Yeah, until you move into a
okay.
narrow declination, which is good travel. As we were traveling towards our second night's camp, we scanned the ground for materials we could use. We rounded a bend and we found a true treasure, the rotting carcass of an elk. The water was just above freezing, but the treasure was well worth the effort in pain, materials, and amusement.
I'm gonna get out. My feet go down here. Damn it! Oh, she's coming.
When we finally dragged the carcass out of the water, it became evident that the animal had been a lion kill. How it managed to fall in the water is still a mystery.
Ooh, you gonna eat it?
What's that?
I'll bite you. The elk had a special odor to it. Anything that's been decomposing in water for a week is pretty rough to handle. Still, despite the odor, it represented a huge opportunity for us to obtain materials. Joe volunteered to help handle the nasty load despite the fact that he had a sensitive stomach. He also explained to us that he wanted to overcome that sensitivity. Eric decided to administer an unusual form of therapy.
That's wonderful. Eric, that's brilliant.
That doesn't smell too
Hey,
bad.
let's see that one. Hold that one still for a minute. That's beautiful. That is wonderful. Now, Joe,
Yes.
how do those pictures make you feel?
For posterity.
There we go.
Oh my God. Joe barfed, yeah!
After Joe's performance, we had lunch and continued with our grisly task.
Hey, success.
Just getting this elk out and get some hide off it. There's plenty of things we can use it for on this trip. The hide's still pretty good. As you can see, you can just peel this hair off. And that's perfect, actually. When I brain tan at home, I soak them so the hair will slip like that on purpose. And we tried to cut a little piece of hide off and tried it, and it's plenty tough. So there's a lot of great raw hide, and if there's any good brains in the head, we may even have some brain tanned elk before this trip is over. This is kind of a big knife to be skinning with, but it'll work.
What knife are you using?
This is one I made just for this trip. Finished it about 3 hours before I left on this trip. It's called the SRT trail knife. It's one that I offer all the time. Some guys are smart, they'll come down and get some sinews. A lot of good sinew in the leg and along the backbone, but I don't think there's going to be any left on the backbone. We can take these hooves and these dew claws here, take them back to camp, and along with some rawhide, after we've dried it, you can boil it down with a little water and it makes very good hide glue. Very strong. Not waterproof, but very strong glue.
Great.
So this was really a good find, this elk.
Right on.
Elk have two unusual teeth called ivories. I have no idea what the function of these teeth is, but they constitute a prize and can be polished and used in jewelry, or they can be traded for amazing things like bubble gum and jet aircraft.
As long as you get through the hide. Yeah, I'm messing.
As Rob had mentioned, the elk brain is used in brain tanning. Even though the carcass was rotting in the water, we had our hopes that the brain was still usable for tanning. I've never been able to understand just why my nose starts to itch just about the time my hands get covered with gore. It's part of the phenomena, too, that if a piece of slop gets airborne, it'll land in my mouth. That's the brain there, it's all...
We're not going to do any tanning with that.
No. See how she's
Not gonna work?
Yeah, it's got to be kind of that.
Each evening, we sit around the campfire, work on our skills, and tell tales. The distinction between reality and fiction begins to blur.
You have a bone anvil there, hon?
I got a bone anvil here. I'm using this to work on. So.
What you making?
Well, I'm making a. This is actually a Ganoxtahagen. They're very similar to a Puip-Weeple, but they're a more modern design.
Okay.
We had a guy, his name's Alan. His head turns red. I mean, beet red. And he's running around. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And my friend Randy looks at him and goes, fondle my buttocks. And Al just stops. He looks and goes, what did he say? You heard him. And I'll tell you what, diffused Al, he had no idea what to do. He just wanders off muttering to himself.
What we're doing here is we're cutting off a little disc of this lodgepole pine to make a flywheel for a drill that we're going to make. Might as well go ahead there, buddy. This is a pocket chainsaw, it's called, and it's trying to keep it nice and square so the disc will spin true. It won't be too heavy on one side or the other. Once you get these chainsaws going, they work real well. You can see what Rob and I have done here is created a little holder so we don't have to get down in the wet grass and do our cutting down there. There you go. One flywheel. That'll work.
Pretty square?
That's pretty square, dude. Good job. What we have going on here is we've made a fire ring. We're going to build a nice sized fire in here. After the fire is good and hot, we've got lots of coals, we're going to go ahead and heat up a nail. And we're going to bring it up to forging temperatures. Then we're going to take it over to this rock here, which is going to be our anvil, this big old rock here. And we're going to flatten one end of it and turn it into a little point by grinding it on stones, and that'll be a drill. Then we'll put that drill into another piece of wood, a little rod. That rod will fit into the disc that we just created, and we'll be able to make a small hand drill. It'll actually be a pump drill, but you'll see more of that in a minute.
About 4 days into the trip, the days started to cool down, and we had a couple of sprinkles of light rain. The real challenge came at night when the temperatures were in the high teens.
I'm going to start writing things down. Now we're going to forget.
That's good.
This little tool here is called a fencing plier. It's got a number of different tools on it. It's got a hammer face here. It's got a kind of like a regular plier right up in this area. Down in here we've got something to cut fence wire. This end here is like a nail remover. Ordinarily when you buy these things, this face here is kind of serrated. What I did is I simply ground that serration off to give us a smoother surface for hammering. I need a green stick.
In order to accomplish some of our projects, we needed to make a drill bit. I had found a nail alongside the trail, so I set about smithing the nail into a drill. The idea caught on, and soon there were several drill bits and drive mechanisms in process. One of the pluses of smithing in the cool weather, it was warm near the fire.
We found this nail here on the trail when we were walking in, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a drill out of it, and this is how I did it. I took this stick and I drilled a hole into it, well, actually with my awl on my Swiss Army knife, and then I took the nail with the head on it still and hammered it in, and I clipped off the nail, and this makes a handle so I can put the nail into the hot coals. When this nail got hot, I took it out and hammered it with the hammer here till it was flat on both sides, as you can see. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a nice file here and I'm filing a point on it, and you can see how that's going to make a nice drill for us when I'm done. I'm not done yet, but it'll make a nice drill.
There we go. You know what? I was doing that better one-handed. No comment, please.
It's working. Okay. And you just cracked the rock.
Actually, I died a little earlier. Seems like the anaconda's holding it better than the rock. They call me lightning. I never hit the same place twice.
About 3 more good solid hits. Okay, that's good.
We're making ultimately a spindle drill. And this is what a spindle drill is that you have a flywheel, a shaft, and twine. And it's a little tough to see, But this is going to be a wooden platform that holds the twine out away from the spindle like that. When you push, it spins. And then as the flywheel catches it, it rewinds the other direction. This is going to be a flat piece of wood with a hole in the middle that moves down over this that the twine ties off to. You'll be able to see that a little later.
This is the drill that Karen made. You can see she's flattened out the tip and sharpened the edges and stuck it down inside of the little drill here. Works like so. You'll see more of that in a minute. But what we're going to do now is we have to harden this nail. So in order to do that, we're going to plunge it through this piece of foil here like so and create like a little heat shield to protect the wood that's behind it. Just like that. Now we're going to put that into the fire, and when it's cherry red, I'm going to pull it out and just plunge it into a can of water that I've got waiting there. This little tool here is like a little multi-tool, and you could do what I'm about to explain to any multi-tool. Basically what I did is I magnetized the tip so it's a little bit of a magnet, and I use that to judge the temperature. You probably saw that in volume 9 where they were using a magnet to test the wellness of how hot something is, and there's no attraction between this metal, so it's plenty hot now, even though you can't see the color because of the daylight. I'm going to put it back in there and let it get hot again, because it has to be hot enough. It'll only take a few moments because it's already pretty hot. So I think we'll go ahead and stick it in the water and see what happens to it. Okay, you might be able to see the bluish color that's in there. So this has been hardened now enough to be able to drill through bone. Now that Karen's built the spindle and attached the nail, and then flattened out the nail to make a drill bit, I hardened the thing, and the next step is we cut a little slot right across the top of the spindle and set it up so it'll hold a piece of cordage about like so. Now, this cordage is for your thumbs. Put one thumb in there, one thumb in like so, see there? And this makes it so you can keep downward pressure when you're drilling.
What am I making? I'm gonna make cutting this bare bone here to make a bellows for a for the bellows we'll be making to heat up the metal that we'll be getting.
So what you're making is a pipe to carry the air from the bellows into the fire, is that correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. Why did you choose bone?
Well, it's hollow, as you can see.
Available.
Makes a nice air passage.
Probably fireproof, well, fire resistant too, isn't it?
That's correct.
Excellent.
Each day, a group would go out to forage for food and materials. On this day, Rob and Rachel returned with the makings for a small feast.
How'd you do?
Not too good. A lot of hunting, one squirrel, lots of blue camas, wild onions, enough for stew.
Yeah, my coat will now forever smell like onions.
What are those, Rachel?
These are wild onions, and this is blue camas, and this is a bottle.
Great. Good work.
Well, I picked some dandelions and dandelion greens, and I put some bouillon in there, chicken bouillon, and I'm boiling them up for a quick snack.
Mmm, yummy.
Your stuff's called blue camas, and I guess better known as Indian potato is another word for it. The Indians really relied on this as a food source, and here up in these mountain valleys here, it's just loaded. If you can see out there areas of purple, well, it's all this purple flower, and you can take a digging stick out there and get you a pretty good meal in not much time. Tastes a lot like a potato or a cattail root, very starchy. And one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to eat anything without the blue flower. A yellow-white flower looks much the same, has the same kind of bulb. That's called, I guess locally would be called a death camas, and they will kill you. I've heard stories of whole Indian families getting very ill and some dying by getting one bulb mixed up in a whole meal of blue camas, so be very careful. If you have any questions, just leave the flowers on, and that way you know.
Our earlier forging experiments drove us to search for more steel and better materials with which to make a real wilderness forge. When the guys returned, they had some real treasures.
Oh man, where'd you guys find that?
Camp over on the other side.
Is there a cowboy camp over there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There weren't
You
any
got a gas
cowboys
can
around
there?
here.
Yeah,
There were.
Horseshoe
There's
and some real treasures.
What's on the back there?
Well,
A cup?
I needed a coffee cup, so I found this about 2 feet under.
That's cool.
Look at that, something that's well seasoned.
Great. Oh, look at
Whoa!
Oh my god. Right on. There's our forge.
Sheesh.
Good work. Let's give him a hand, you guys.
Hi, Emma. We gathered up some stuff at a cowboy camp. Their refuse is our resources.
What are you making, Ron?
Making a hole right now. Not quite sure what I'm making, but I'm sure it's going to turn into something.
You making a little squirrel soup there?
Dinner started.
Okay, what I was going to show is how to knock off the bottom of the bottle, which is good for arrowheads. But usually you break the bottle a little bit and it makes it difficult because you have to spend more time on it. But if you take a nail and you just sit it inside and you hop up and down, it takes off the bottom. Yeah. Come on. Well, this one is not working.
Took the bottom off.
That's really good. That's
Let me see the beer
clever.
bottle one. Let me try the beer bottle one. Do it? It really does.
We believe it. We just
There it is.
Perfect cut.
good arrowheads.
Rick, you're just genius.
Little afternoon snack, I guess. I think I'm out of tinfoil.
So you're using used tinfoil that we
Sure.
burned in the fire already?
Why not?
Hey man, that's good.
I don't want to waste any energy. Yeah, just put it right there. Wow.
Yum. That looks
Yeah.
good.
This is all the food I get all week, so I gotta make it good. That's really good.
You mean it?
I'm not gonna share though. I feel like a midget eating this, or a giant. Take your pick.
One of the real pleasures of survival camping is the opportunity to sit around a fire with friends and make things.
What are you doing under there?
Okay.
My wife would be impressed. I'm drinking tea. I never drink tea.
You would be impressed?
She would be impressed.
Who would?
Okay, why is this
My
getting
wife.
longer?
Oh, she's a tea drinker.
Mm-hmm. My son too. But not me.
My pit smell that good?
We needed to puncture some holes in this barrel, and the only good drill we had happened to be .45 caliber.
I think it's dead.
Those days for steel was pretty rare, so they made like they could.
Okay.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Good deal. A ventilated forge.
Good deal.
Draws from the bottom, fire in the middle.
Okay, what I did is I took a piece of that elk and I soaked it overnight in a bag full of urine. I've had to pee in a cup before, but never in a bag. Now I rinsed it out, and I'm just trying to stretch out this hide so I can make a nice piece of
piece of rawhide, hopefully make a little pouch out of it. I was surprised at how tough it is. I've got to use my awl to get a hole poked through this stuff. It's surprisingly strong. I tried poking it just with a stick and couldn't do it. So I've carved some small pegs, and I'm just putting those through the holes when I can find them, and trying to stretch it out a little bit so it'll dry so I can work with it.
What we have here is a nice batch of squirrel stew here, mixed with wild onions, wild thistle, which tastes like celery, threw in a little bit of bouillon cube of Italian seasoning, and some salt and pepper. So once this cools down, we shall chow down and...
Hi there. We're out here on the Hoodlums June trip, and we've run up this Forager's Forge using materials that we found in the field and materials that we had in our various mini and maxi kits. What we have here is we're heating up a horseshoe down in the coals. Now normally you couldn't get that hot enough to do really serious forging unless you could blow more air in there. So what we've done is we've taken the materials we had at hand. One of them was that we found some bones laying where some elk had dropped. And Joe and a few others had cut through these bones, which are hollow in the middle. That provided a tube to pass the air through that can also stand the high heat that's here next to the forge. We have one of those bones on this end right here. Now, what we did is that I've built a I've built a bellows here that, unfortunately, being made of plastic, can't be too close to the heat. So to locate it remotely, what we did was we tied together a trouser leg here to the end of the bone, another bone here to make sure that it doesn't collapse. That goes into the bag and gives us an airtight seal. Now this bellows design is probably thousands of years old. The principles have been around about forever. But fundamentally, when we lift it like this, the air flows into the inside of the bag. You close this, and that acts as a valve, and then you press, and that blows into the forge. A few of the finer points of building a bellows like this can be demonstrated here. When we open the valve, you'll notice that we had found some fiberglass that had been laying out along the side of the trail, and I made a hoop. And what that hoop does is that when I lift up to allow the air to go into the bag, it holds the bag open to allow more volume of air to go in. Otherwise, the bag would just flatten against itself and you wouldn't get any air. Then by putting the two sticks together and giving it a half twist, you have a very good vacuum seal, air pressure seal here. And then all you do is just press down and lean on it. This is a very effective assembly. One more hint to make this work a little better for you is in the bottom, place a few rocks in the bottom of the bellows. And that way when you lift it up, the bottom of the bellows will remain on the ground and allow you to get the maximum volume of air. And that's how it works.
With a primitive forge and a horseshoe, we could fashion any of a number of tools. We could forge and harden the shoe to make a spear, a knife, a fire-starting steel, a chisel, and more. Generally, however, it is smart to use the forge to first make more tools, which you will then use to satisfy your more sophisticated iron needs.
Lay it flat.
Sweet.
Not the other way, flip it over. Good. Good start.
Okay, maybe flip her over and grab the other side. There you go.
Good. Good.
Yeah. Right there. Go back in. It's hard to know.
Yeah, where's the bolt together?
After working with the horseshoe for a short while, Rob decided to test one of the Nordeus he had made by attempting to cut the red-hot horseshoe in half. Remember, this will void your warranty.
Whoa! There we go.
Hold the two pieces of the scrap with your hand there. No, lay that right down alongside it there, Ron.
What not to do with your knife?
It's funny, it didn't do that much to the blade, did it?
No.
It did a damn fine job on that. Elk.
Steve got busy making a spoon by first carving the shape and then burning out the wood to make it smooth.
What are you scraping it out with?
Just a stick. I've been using a knife to scrape some of it out, but once you've charred, it comes out pretty easy. Anything will pull it out.
Beautiful.
He's got his tail in the air and everything.
Which one has his tail on it?
At some point, Kuma decided that Eric was just the sort he'd been looking for.
He likes you, Eric.
He really likes
Just wait a year, pal. I wish all girls were that easy.
What you doing?
I am making a fishing pole. I found this piece of pine. It's dead and it's kind of hard. It's not too brittle. And I cut it off to the right length and I'm going to be finishing it pretty darn soon.
Wow.
Hi, Ron.
How you doing?
Pretty good.
What do you got going on here?
Well, I made a body bag hammock earlier, and I think I'm going to spend the night in it tonight.
Man, that's pretty slick.
And it's very comfortable. This is luxury in the woods.
I'll bet it is. Mind showing me how you made it?
Oh, I'd love to. Let me hop out and I'll show you. What we have here is a standard issue body bag from the U.S. government. There's several types. This particular one happens to be a single layer material and it's water repellent. They're made to actually cover or to carry bodies with. There's 6 straps, 2 on the corners and 1 in the middle for people to hold on to. They're heavy duty, 2-inch webbing, and there's a very heavy duty zipper in the middle used to zip it up with. So actually I've been using this to sleep in for the past several nights. On this trip you've allowed us to bring a bivy sack or body bag, a cushion, which I've got a Thermarest air inflated cushion inside of this, and a poncho liner and a poncho. And that's all I've been sleeping with for the past several nights, and I got down to 19 degrees last night. Here's the poncho liner, and I'll show this to you. It's 1 layer thin material, but when you make your insulation properly around your body, you stay quite warm. I've been warm for the past several days. One thing I forgot to mention about this setup, Ron, is that it's quickly transportable. So by the way that we've used the paracord on the perimeter of the body bag, we can easily take it down, roll it up, put it in our backpack, take it to the next camp, and depending on the distance of the 2 trees, quickly reassemble it. So that's one of the big advantages of using a hammock as we've designed it in this fashion. Now that I have it hung, I'd like to show you how the spreader bars work. You know, designed very simply. The cord just goes in 2 lengths, slides in just above the knot where we're holding the webbing, and then this cord stretches, and then you slide in the other side just above the webbing, and it locks in place, and the webbing will keep it spread apart. Now that you can see the spreader bars are in, we're a little bit lopsided. The tension on this end is a little bit less than this end. Actually, the problem is that this side has been stretched too much because we've been, this is the side I've been getting in and out of. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to equalize the tension, or take some of the tension, add tension to this side so that each side has equal pressure. These are the 2 pieces I'm going to use to add tension to this side of the hammock. One is just a piece of stick, and another is a short piece of parachute cord. It's a little bit long, but any length will do. So the process is to add a twist into this side of the hammock support. So we've got a single twist here. It looks like I'm going to need about 3 or 4 turns to bring this up to the correct tension level. That looks to be equally same tension on both sides. Now you just hold this together. Hold it to the line, and we're just going to tie it down to the line. So I'm just going to wrap some parachute cord around here, and then I'm just going to tie it off in a knot. So here we have the completed body bag hammock. I just wanted to add one other note. Another reason for having the ropes, other than to help suspend the weight of the hammock and keep it onto the webs, is also to suspend some shelter. And here is my rain poncho, which I'm going to toss over the top tonight to actually keep the moisture, condensation, and any potential rain off of me. Now, it snaps in the bottoms around the corners, and I'll secure it so it won't blow off, but another helpful feature is the top of it. You can tie the hood together, and what I'm going to do is run a string between these 2 trees to pull this up so that the rain will run off to the sides and it won't puddle in the middle. And this should be a very suitable and comfortable shelter for tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
I've got my hide. I'm trying to smoke it now. It's already been stretched and dried, and I tried to scrape off most of the fat off of it. I kind of rubbed it around a tree to get the grain broken a little bit. We're going to smoke it now, and then I'll be taking it down to the creek again, find a nice smooth round stone, and try and break up the grain by pounding this hide with the stone on some grass.
Not everyone is able to tolerate the smell of a rotting skin. We learned earlier that Joe was particularly sensitive to the odor of decomposition. He tried to overcome his sensitivities, but it's not easy. I want to thank him for his good-natured attempts.
Does that smell pretty bad?
Oh yeah!
Well, do you think you'd be able to cut that piece of skin off there?
What skin?
Just that wet piece there.
Where?
Just reach right down there and grab it. Are you okay, man?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you better not do that job.
Might as well not.
Okay, let's get out of here.
This is just primo stuff.
On the other hand, there are folks like Eric who attract dogs and who love the smell of rotting flesh. I wonder if there's a correlation.
Okay. So what are you doing right now?
Well, I'm going to pick out a piece of hide here. I'm going to try to make a hoop drum, I guess you call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to make a hoop and stretch it over there and see if I can make a drum.
Sounds good.
So
this is a piece of sinew from the leg of the elk we found dead the other day. And sinew is an excellent source of cordage. I'm going to process it by stripping off all of the fat and material that we don't need, and then process it by soaking it in urine for 24 hours. Soaking in the urine for 24 hours helps soften up the fat and soften up the tissue and the sinew, so that it separates more easily. When we're done soaking, I'll take it out, take it down to the stream and wash it out real good, and then we'll dry it in the shade until it's ready for further processing. It's been sitting out for a couple of days now, so it's tough. Okay, I've put the pieces we want to make into cordage into a bag with urine, so it's ready to set overnight for 24 hours so that we can go to the next step in the processing. Okay, we've let this sinew sit in the urine for 24 hours and taken it out and washed it. It's not been dried yet, but we wanted to show you that you could separate them while it's still wet. The advantage of letting it dry out is that there is still the natural glue in the tendon strands that can be reactivated by using saliva. So when you twist the fibers together to make your cordage, you can use a little saliva and it makes a stronger cordage. You can still make cordage out of the wet tendon, but it won't be quite as strong. And so I'll just pound on this a little. We don't use a rock because that could cut the tendons, and we want the fibers to be as long as we can get them. You can see this is just a short piece, so we'll need to splice as we go to make a lengthy piece of cordage. So we don't want to damage any, and we don't want to make them any shorter than they already are, so that we have minimal splicing. Now we should be able to start separating out the fibers. And these individual fibers are what we will twist together with a reverse twist to make cordage that can be used for bowstrings or any other applications you might have out here in the wilderness where you don't have any ready-made cordage available to you. This is a piece of tendon from the same elk that was processed by Bill Qualls. It's already gone through the urine soak and has been washed and was dried in the shade. So it's perfectly dry now and is ready to be separated into strands. Wanted to show you the difference between this and doing it with the wet tendon. You'll notice the translucent color of this tendon that wasn't noticeable in the wet tendon. So we'll just work with it a little bit to make it a little easier to separate. And you can tell this is much stiffer, but it's beginning to separate into the fine strands that you want.
This is the finished fishing pole, and I wanted to show you, I'm just about ready to go fishing. I wanted to show you what I did to make it right before I go. Here's the reel that I packed in, and I attached that to the pole with some cable ties. And up here I made some eye loops with snare wire. I made 3 of them. Here's 1, 2, and the third one's up on top. And I found a feather, and I had a hook, and I found a feather, and I made a nice lure here to catch the fish with. Hopefully it'll work.
Hey Bill, what's going on there?
We found this this grill yesterday at one of the cowboy camps, and I'm just using it as a hide stretcher. It's hard to find any good willow around here. All the willow is very small and hard to make a nice hoop, so I thought this would work just as well.
Hi, what I have here is called a Paiute Figure 4 trap. It is very similar to the Figure 4 trap that you've seen in Volume 5 of the Woodmaster series, except this one's a little bit modified and a little bit different. This is set up more so to trap quicker game like mice, squirrels, chipmunks, and weasels. It has the same principles of the Figure 4, except of the different toggle and the bait stick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the different components here, and give you a general idea how it's set up. Figure 4. We have the deadfall, which is supported by this diagonal stick, which most of the weight is resting on top of the horizontal stick, as you've seen with the regular figure 4. However, what we have here is the trigger string, which is basically tied to this end, which then is connected to this toggle, which is wrapped around almost halfway. We have then the trigger stick, which basically is braced up against here and butt up against the end of this toggle. This trap is so sensitive that a mouse, just by touching it, would actually set it off. Well, since we're lacking iron in our diet, I set this trap up to catch this can. So let's just see how well this thing actually works. As you can see, it is very fast and very effective.
Yesterday, a few of us went over to a cowboy camp and we were searching around for some items, and I came across a couple things I thought I could use to make a smaller forge. I found I guess it's a Coleman fuel can. Cut a little groove here. I thought maybe if this thing works, I'd be able to set the tools down in there and heat them up that way. For there, I made a small tweer type pipe where the original plastic spigot was. I just kind of popped that out. I noticed what appeared to be a bunch of clay, so I got down in there and dug a bunch of that out, and I mixed it with a bunch of dry brass in hopes to make adobe type mixture here. What I did was attached some surgical tubing from the Maxi kit. I'm going to use this as a mouthpiece to blow air into this.
Okay, yesterday we started a pretty good sized fire in this forge, and after we got it burning really hot and good, we smothered it with dirt. And the purpose of this is trying to make some charcoal. And I'm going to take some of this charcoal we made and take it over to Eric's forge and let him use it in his. Put it in the forge? Sure.
But it put it out.
Oh my gosh, my fellow blade forger are in trouble. Woohoo! Eric, snap out of it, buddy. Snap out. We can give you air. Now what's the trouble with this forge? Let's have a look. Dun, dun, dun. This is ridiculous. Okay. I think we can adapt this. Okay.
Looks like it's starting to work here.
Eric, I'm impressed. You did a tremendous job on this.
With the help of you, billow man, or...
Well, I always have majored in hot air, and besides that, you were only near death. It's not like it was anything dramatic.
Super sack, or whatever you mean.
Now you're embarrassing me. No, that's impressive. Good great. So you planning on packing this out and bringing it back home as a souvenir and make some blades at home?
Well, since it's going to work, possibly.
I mean, it's nice and portable, too. There's no reason you can't bring that camp to camp.
Eric had found a 9-inch spike during his forging and used a portion of it in his forge.
That's impressive.
baby. Could I borrow those pliers again?
Yep, there you go.
I think this one's going to be pretty red.
Wow.
Well, let's check this puppy.
Jeez, look at that.
It's working. Oh, that's really working.
Sweet
here.
red.
Growing.
We've built this spindle drill out here, also known as a hand pump drill. And the way that the drill works is that as these cables tighten up around the drill, it stores energy in the flywheel. When you push down, the flywheel continues to move and rewind itself for the next stroke. By doing this back and forth, as you can see, you can drill holes in bone, wood, whatever you need to, and it makes a fine hole, as a matter of fact. Drills like this are used in the third world. I have a kukri at home, a large knife that's made, and the drilling through was done with a drill just like this. Tom's a lot better at this than I am, so Tom, if you could demonstrate.
Sure, Ray. That kind of gives you the idea. It's very effective and very fast.
Well, here's the reel I made. I found this piece of fiberglass on the trailhead, right at the beginning of the trailhead, and I made eyelets out of snare wire. And what I did is I took a little branch, a wide branch, cut it down, notched it out so that I could attach it to it with snare wire. And this is just the reel that I bought the fishing line on. And here's the fish.
Alright, a little Woodsmaster tip for you. It involves how to tie a little knot that you can jerk on all you want. It'll stay tight, and then when you're ready to leave, it comes right apart. This is just one way to do it. I've got a little loop on the end of this cord. Now what I'm going to do is pass the other end of the cord through, so you can see it right in here. Next thing that you do is you pass your cord, this is sort of like a little half hitch, over the top, like so, and inside. Now what we got is something like a little bow knot. And if I pull real hard, this thing will come apart. What locks it is you take the bow, the little big old loop here, and pass it around one more time. And don't tighten it up too much. And it makes that kind of a knot. Now watch this. I'll just go ahead and put some weight on it. And that should tighten up any regular knot. But looky here, this loop is still loose. I take the loose end, pull, and we're done. We're free.
Hello everyone, I'm Radio Ray, here with another Woodsmaster tip. When you're walking long distances, you want to be able to use different muscle groups in different ways. For example, the plainsman stride, which we teach in one of the other tapes. Well, we've developed a new method here that's a plainsman stride, but it uses more of the muscles in your upper body. What you do is as you're walking down the trail, to completely relax your muscles here, which burn a lot of energy, you can take your hand and grab your trousers roughly in front of where your knee is. And do that on both legs. And then as you walk, you can lift and place, and lift and place, and lift and place. And as amazing as it may seem, I'm not using any muscles in my legs at all. Well, got a squirrel today, and let's see if we can bring him out so you can see him. Oh, he's fighting. Here it comes. And this squirrel, as unappetizing as it may look, is covered with Malaysian curry and also a spice called garam masala. And what I did was I braised it for about a half an hour to really work the spice in. And then now I'm boiling it to basically stew it and break up some of the toughness. And the last thing I'll do is we have a lot of blue camas and dandelions and other things out here. I'll put in there, mix in some more curry, a little bit of thickener, and we'll have squirrel curry. So, and this is also the beginnings of my fire bed for my shelter.
This is the finished product, the bag that I made out of my the elk skin. There's been a lot of work put into this bag. It was a lot of work. In addition to stretching it, I had to scrape it to get the extra fat off, smoke it over fire with green pine needles, and pound it with a smooth rock on the ground to break the grain up. It was a lot of work, and I have stitched it. I ended up using an easy-all to do that. I tried to form it so it was kind of box-like. I put a little button out of a bone on it, a belt loop on the back, and I sized it to fit my canteen cup, because this is something I always like to take with me on all of my camping trips and survival trips. So the cup has a lot of sentimental value for me, so that's why I chose that. And I'm pleased with the finished product.
Hello everyone, I'm Radio Ray. I made this bow today out of some material that's common just about everywhere, and that's willow. Basically what I did was take a section of willow that was about the size of my wrist, split it down sideways, and form this flat bow. A flat bow is very, very good when you have questionable wood like willow and that, and frankly it works rather well. Let's string it up and see how it looks. Here we go. That's what you can do with a little bit of wood, your good knife, and a little bit of skill.
Dump some beer in, make some bad ones.
Yep.
What are we doing here?
We're gonna make some donuts out of bannock.
Yep. Bannock and
Without
some beer?
Yeah. Beer batter donuts. Beer batter, bannock donuts.
Where'd that beer come
That's
from?
gonna be good. The pack dogs brought that up.
Oh, that's right.
I love it too.
Rob's idea to make donuts out of bannock was a great adaptation of the same notion Karen tried out in cave cooking too. Until Rob found the can of oil and started cooking, we'd been using bannock to thicken soups, make dumplings, make fry cakes, ash bread, and other goodies. You can't imagine how good donuts, dipped in sugar, taste after a diet of whitefish, squirrel, and MREs.
That you cut the top off of?
Yeah. Just took my knife and cut the top off, and then I burnt it real good so there's no residue. Good. We just gotta hope that that's oil. Oh, it is. Yeah, well, it still had seal on it. Wow. It had never been opened. Oh, that's cool. So we the whole thing? Yeah. So we just cracked it and smelled it. Good. Good to go. Great. You ready for some bannock donuts? Yeah. I can put a hot chocolate thing in it. Leave some mud.
Some of the IR lens comes in drinking that fire one. That way, you know, you're shining light forward, but you're standing there, I see you.
The oil that Rob found had been left behind in a hidden cache by some hunters. We often call these hunting camps cowboy camps, but the fact is that most of the stuff had been left by other campers or hunters. Some of the time the campers intend to come back and use what's left behind, but more often than not, they forget. By the appearance of the container, this oil had been in the cache since the early 90s. It pays to look for these caches whenever possible.
Well, in good condition, unopened. It's bizarre. Just to be on the safe side.
Is it working, Rob?
Does it look like it's done? Feels like it.
Doesn't look too golden though.
Not too bad.
Is it
Need to
cooked all the way
more?
through?
I think we should cook it some more.
Okay.
They're kind of like pie crust. But boy, does that taste good right now.
Oh, I'm going to insist on a cowboy coming in every course I ever go on.
This
is the finished product. Yum. Go ahead and eat it, Joe.
Yeah.
Several. 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody count them.
Better than Dunkin' Donuts, I tell you that.
One of the effects of the strange diet we'd been eating was to create gaseous havoc in our intestines. At the fire, Joe decided to share his gas with us. We're all lucky he wasn't just a touch closer to the fire.
I made you believe that it was the dog. Oh baby, it was really my blood, but it doesn't mean.
Don't do that around me either. I'll light your ass on fire.
Imagine, if you will, looking up at the stars and calculating the actual time to within about 15 minutes. If you pay close attention to the following mini lecture, you'll be able to do it. Throughout the description that follows, you'll need to remember that I've chosen a couple of dates at random and that the position of the stars in the graphics was also chosen at random. All you need to do is to remember the formula and go outside to do the calculation. It will work. One of the gee whiz techniques we like to show students is how to tell time by the Big Dipper. What we've done here is we've taken a giant clock and placed it in the sky with Polaris, and to the left of the screen you can see the Big Dipper. The pointer stars on the Big Dipper, of course, point at Polaris. Down to the lower right there, you're going to see the constellation of Cassiopeia. Now there are two pointer stars on the Big Dipper. The pointer stars, of course, point at the North Star, and Cassiopeia used the center star to kind of point the direction to the North Star. Now if you draw a line from the North Star through the pointer stars on the Big Dipper, you can see that it indicates about 8:30 on the clock by the Big Dipper, or on Cassiopeia the hour hand points at about 3:30. With that information in hand, let's learn how to tell time by the stars. The first thing you need to know is that on March 7th at midnight, the pointer stars of the Big Dipper are directly above the North Star. Now let's pretend that today's date is June 7th, and this is the position of the Big Dipper in the sky. Let's calculate the time. Now we're going to do some scary math. First of all, we have to know the number of months past March 7th, and we know that's going to be 3 months in our new formula. The hour hand reading on the sky is going to be, well, what did we say? Oh yeah, it's 8:30 on the big sky clock. So we've got 3 months since March 7th and 8:30. Now all we got to do is add those two numbers. 3 plus 8.5, that gives us 11.5. 11.5 multiplied by 2 gives us 23. You subtract 23 from 24, and it's 1 a.m. in the morning on that example. Now let's try a different one for September 21st. Now what we've got is 6.5 months since the March 7th date. So we're going to take that 6.5 months, add it to 8.5 on the Big Dipper clock, and we get 15. 15 times 2 is going to give us a funny number, 30. Well, you can't subtract 30 from 24, so we make the 24 into a 48. We subtract it, we get 18, and that's 1800 hours. What if it's daylight savings time? Well, just add 1 hour to your calculated time. Simple as that. Hey, what if you can't see the Big Dipper? You can only see Cassiopeia. Well, just add another 5 hours to it. So, the number of months past March 7th, the hour hand reading to Cassiopeia, plus 5. There you have it. This formula is worthless if you don't try it out. Remember, too, that you'll need to learn to estimate the time on the Big Dipper clock accurately. An error in estimating the big clock time is the most common way to induce an inaccuracy. I find it helps to drop a plumb line down across the North Star and then estimate the time based on the line that tells me 12 and 6. You can also make up a graphic on paper or cardboard that will give you some much more accurate time telling. As a final resort, you can use a concave lens from an old pair of binoculars to shrink the view of the sky. The more you make the sky look like the clock on the wall, the more easily you'll be able to tell the time accurately. Remember that once you can estimate the time accurately on the big time and make the correct adjustment in months and weeks, you can easily be within 15 minutes of the correct time. Finally, sometimes the star clock and local time will read the same. Don't let that fool you. The big clock runs counterclockwise. That sort of makes me wonder why we made clocks run in the direction they do.
Hi, I'm going to make a wilderness sauna today. It's a nice day. Here's some of the materials that we're gathering. Some pine. And what we're going to do is set it up right here on this sandy beach. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to dig out this pond a little bit, clean it up, and let the water flow into this. And this is going to be our dunking pool.
Learned the trick. When we got to playing with the neighbor's dog, it'd be chasing around.
Over the top of this one.
Building a sauna is a cooperative effort. Everyone who wants to use it must make some contribution to the construction. Some of the folks gathered stones, some cut the support members or gathered firewood. Others offered up their precious plastic. In the end, it would end up being a pleasure for all.
This is our wading pool, and what we've done here is blocked off the stream so it comes into the wading pool and helps pull out the sediment. This is where, once we get out of the sauna, we'll come in here and take a nice cool bath.
What we've got here are the rocks that we're going to use for our sauna. And as you can see, I've taken rocks and I've placed them in a close proximity to one another, and actually some of them are inside the fire, and I've started a fire on top of them. What this is going to do is this is going to heat up our rocks for the sauna. We'll roll the rocks into our sauna bed when we get it covered, and that's what we're going to be putting our water on and our aromatic vegetation. One thing I do want to point out is that these stones are not stream stones. Stream stones are any kind of stone that is near a stream is the kind of stone you do not want to use because they might have some residual moisture inside of them, and when they get hot, because we do have to do this for 2 hours minimum to get these rocks hot enough, they might explode. So be sure not to use stream stones. We got these way up on the mountain here. It was quite a trek, but we got them here. So we're going to let this, it's been going for about an hour, we're going to let it go for another hour, and then anytime after that we're ready to go.
Your side first.
I want to make sure you'll have enough before I do my side. There. We'll put like 3 rocks here, and then we'll see if the other side is cool. Well, we put our plastic sheet on top of this lodge pole, and it looks like it's not hitting equally on both sides. It's not long enough. So what we're going to do is we have to lower this lodge pole, which is the center pole right here that goes all the way across. And all we're going to do is move these out a little further on both sides. Whoops. Not that much. What we're going to do now, since we've lowered these, is we're going to take our shovel, a shovel that we found up here in a stash when we came into camp, which was pretty fortunate for us. We're going to take the shovel and we're going to take sand and secure these with sand.
Okay.
So when we're inside, it's not going to fall on us for some weird reason.
I'm moving dirt here onto the edge of the
tent to hold down the sides.
Okay, what I'm doing now is I am taking sand and putting it on the outside of here. After I have sufficient sand, what I'm going to do is come over and pull this out. Make it as much space inside as I can. There are a few holes in this. This is something we have been using for a shelter, but just for the day we're going to be using this on our sauna. It is okay if you have a few holes. If you have some big holes, it's not a good idea to use these because the heat will escape from it. And we'll do the same thing to the other side.
Right here what we've done is dug out this little bit of a hole here, because when the rocks get hot, we're going to roll them over and roll them underneath the plastic and into the inside, so the person on the inside can stack them up and heat up the inside. And then right over here there's going to be a door so that when we enter and exit, it's away from the hot coals that'll be rolling over this way here. And then we'll take off and go jump in the pool, cool off.
We have another sheet of plastic here that's a little too big to fit in this space, and we want to save half of it for another use we might need out here in the wilderness. So what we've done is we've halved it right here, and we're just going to cut it. And that's going to seal up the back side here. I've cut about a dozen 1 foot or so parachute cord, pieces of parachute cord, and what we're doing now is we're attaching this piece of plastic to the back. And this is how we're doing it. We're folding it over, and we're just punching holes with our knife. And then we just put that through and tie it. Here you go. Go ahead and put this through. There you. Here it is. Okay. Now you can see how this is tying to it. I did these a little closer together so you could see what it was going to turn out to look like, but we're going to do them a little further apart when we get down to the bottom here. As you can see, Jim is taking some sand and he's closing off the bottom now that we have tied this piece of plastic to the end and sealed it up completely. Now we'll go on to the front of the sauna and make the door. This is the door side of the sauna, and as you can see, Jim tied it all the way down on one side, and this is the side, on my side, is going to be opening. I just tied one here, and I have a clip that's removable. This is how we're going to get into the sauna. Someone out here who's taking care of moving the rocks is going to be out here to close it back up. And what we'll do is we'll take the hot rocks and with some sticks, move them down here. Open this up. Jim dug this hole. They'll take it in and they'll get saunified. These are 3 essential things you're going to need when you get inside of your sauna. You're going to need a pair of tongs. When they move the hot rock into the inside of the sauna, you're going to need these tongs to move it to the area in the sauna you want best, because you're definitely not going to want to touch it with your hands. It will burn you. You're going to need something aromatic. We have pine around here. This is a wonderful smelling pine. What we're going to do is set this on top of the hot rock, and we're going to use this rock, which is the 3rd item, to smash and let the aromatic smells come out of it. And on top of that, you will need, we need one more thing, which is this. This will be filled with water inside of the sauna, and when you get the hot rock in there, you'll put the aromatics on it, you'll smash it with the rock, and then you'll put water on top of it, and when the steam starts coming up from the hot rock, it will smell like pine. You can also take this pine and rub it in between your hands and put it on your body as a cleansing agent. Now, there's something else I wanted to show you, and that is our door here. We had an extra sheet of plastic, and we put that on the ground here. This is what we're going to be sitting on. So we'll just get inside, and we'll wait for the rock to be passed underneath here. We'll use our tongs to move it, our aromatic to put on top of it, smash it, rub it, clean yourself. You stay in here until you're red hot, and then we're going to run out and get into that cold water, and it's going to feel so good.
Hiya, 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 hey. Hiya, 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 hey.
There's water, boys. Come on.
Santa. We got steam coming out both holes. It ought to be hot.
You talking about Eric or the tent?
Oh, right on.
The plunge.
Oh! Oh my God, he went right in.
Yeah.
Woo!
Invigorating. Yeah.
Oh man.
Another routine.
Oh yeah.
Don't flop.
Oh my God. Woo! Oh my God, that's so
You'll love it.
That's good or what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cold now, but boy, do I feel refreshed. Woo!
Yes?
What do you think?
I feel great. That was wonderful.
It's invigorating, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
God.
that's nice.
What's up?
A little chilly.
Hi, I'm Bill. A couple of us have been practicing our trapping skills here this week, and you'll notice behind me we have a nice flat meadow, and we found a ground squirrel colony there. Now the reason we're working the ground squirrels is, well, there are no marmots. Ground squirrels live where the marmots don't. So you don't have to travel all the way to the high Sierras just to practice your skills. Second thing is, when you do find a colony, there's usually quite a number of squirrels, and it maximizes your chances of being successful. And the third thing is, they taste really good. So let's go over and take a look and see what we've done. You may not be able to see it, but there are holes all around us here. And most of these holes are interconnected, but not all the holes may be active. So the best way to decide where to set your traps, because you don't want to set them in every hole that's around, is to stay outside the colony for a little bit and watch until you see some animals. You see one go down in a hole, you go to that hole, and you set your trap. It's pretty simple. Last night when I found these, there was no activity. So what I did is I made some little activity sticks, and I cut off a piece of pine branch, is the very tip actually, and cut it so that it would kind of stand up. And what we're going to do is set this in a hole right in the middle. And when an animal is going to come out, it'll knock that aside. I can come back the next day or in a couple hours and I decide, okay, I have activity in this hole, this is where I'm going to set my snare. And I've made one up here. Now, I'm not going to go over the construction of the snare because you can see that in Volume 5 of the Woodsmaster series. But we did find a few pointers that we think is worth passing on to you. First of all, if you set your snare stake off to the side, when the animal comes out, there's a lot of slack, and it'll just push the noose aside until it can get free. What you need to do is pull all the slack out, set your noose, pull all the slack out, and put your stake in back here. Then when the animal comes out, it starts to tighten the noose immediately.
Okay, here's the stake that I tied the wire off to. Just a simple twist. It's about 1.5 feet from the hole. You can see the taut wire here going down to the hole. When I first walked up, this dirt was freshly disturbed. It was much darker, just like this. And in fact, could see a bit of the tail at that time. We're going to take him out now. He's pulling on the stick right now a little bit. Man, it's in there.
Need some help digging him out?
It's in there.
Need some help?
Go ahead and use Anaconda here.
Here, Phil, you just pull on this stick. He's under a rock right here. Oh boy, he pulled. Yeah, he will. You gotta keep holding.
I can see why you use tight or strong wire.
Yeah.
A lighter wire and he'd be gone already.
Yeah.
There we go.
It'd be good to pull up point. Wow, this little booger's in here, isn't he? That's getting pretty solid in here. Where'd the hole go? Yeah, we got
you got
tail.
some fit.
Yeah, I got some,
right there.
got some hair. Yeah, we got a tail.
I had no idea these things are so strong.
Oh, well, he's dug in like an alligator in here, man. There's like
Feet right
legs
the wire.
Feet are stuck in the ground. We probably got him around the waist. Oh, you lift him up. There we go.
Nice one.
Yeah.
No. Back. Can you get a picture of that, Steve?
Get back.
Just use your last. Oh, nuts!
Nice one.
Woohoo! I know, if I had the camera.
So how you guys doing?
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Hey Ron, how you doing?
I haven't seen him smile that much on the whole trip.
You guys all ready to go home now?
Yeah, we're ready.
Did you have fun?
Oh, I had a great time.
Good.
Had a great time. Feet hurt, but
Yeah?
we're ready to have some burgers and brews.
All right. What about you, Tom
Oh, it was
Cruise?
fabulous. It was a great trip.
Awesome.
Really happy.
So Eric, did you have fun?
I had a blast.
Great. Cool. What'd you like the best out of it?
Everything.
Yeah?
Just everything added up.
All
And
right.
the whole package is great.
All right. What about you, Joe?
As Eric said, it was just a total blast. Do it again in a heartbeat.
Right on.
Just give me another year or so.
That's funny. Here comes Wally.
You know what? Hey, how's it going?
Hey, did you have fun?
I had a great time, as a matter of fact.
Yeah?
You know what? First soda and over our way.
Oh. How does it taste?
Heavenly. I think I'll do this again.
All right. Hey, Rachel. Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? What'd you like the best?
The best?
The sauna?
Yeah, probably the sauna, I'd say. That's the most exciting.
It was fun. Hey, you guys.
Hi, Karen.
Did you have fun? Bill, did you have a great time or what?
Very nice, yes.
Did you? What was your favorite part?
Swimming and catching a squirrel for the first time. First time with snares.
That was pretty awesome, wasn't it?
Never done any snaring before, so that was the best part.
Yeah? Did it taste good?
Yeah, it did. It's a little chewy, but it was, I don't know if it's as good as rat, only you could tell me that.
Cool. Hey, Rick, you're on, baby.
Hi.
Hey, did you have fun?
I had a great trip.
Cool. What was your favorite part?
Catching the fish. Catching that fish that night.
That fish was really tasty, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Wasn't that just the best tasting fish?
You missed the funny part, though.
No, I did?
Bill, I pulled that fish out of there, and I hooked it. First one.
Uh-huh.
And I hooked the second one, and I yelled, "What do I do?" And I got it up on the bank, and it came off the hook. And then Bill dived into the side of the bank, and so did I. And it was pretty fun.
Oh,
I was
but
pretty
you
proud.
finally got it, didn't you?
And the fish almost won. We both almost went in.
We would have gone right in for it.
Right.
That's great.
And it would have been worth it.
Pretty young.
How you doing, Steve?
It's fine.
Does it feel good to be back without your pack on?
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah? Did you have fun?
I did.
Good. What was your favorite part?
Oh boy. I don't know. I just like being out there. It's just great country and good time.
Good. Glad you had fun.
Yeah, I did.
Hey, Rob.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing, cowboy?
I'm peachy.
Look at that face, everybody. Isn't that just
You
the
know what
best
peachy
cowboy?
is, you know, it's a little fuzzy on the outside, sweet right under that with a hard little rough core.
Ah, that's what that is.
That's peachy.
Right on. Good explanation. I like it.
Oh, come on, I didn't see
Jim, did you have fun?
Lots of fun.
Yeah?
Yep.
What was your favorite part?
Probably the sauna.
The sauna? That was super fun, wasn't it? But we need another bath today, don't we?
A couple, probably.
Yeah, I think at least. That's great.
Good sight.
Wally, you made it!
Another one.
Oh, how you doing, buddy?
Tired.
Are ya?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was a great trip.
Oh, good. I'm glad. What was your favorite part?
I think doing the skills around that first base camp.
That was fun, huh?
Watching the the forge stuff, Eric's forge, and the bellows system that Ray set up.
That was great, wasn't it?
So it just kind of opened my eyes to what you could do if you show a little imagination and find a few treasures out in the woods.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, Wally. Getting your belly scratched, I'll bet, huh? Look at that dog. He's so tired. Look at that dog.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Had a great time.
Awesome. What was your
Great
favorite
group of
part?
people.
It was, huh?
Great group of people. Laughed. We fished. We trapped. We played around with mucusy things. We dug ugly, rotten stuff out and ate it. Yeah, it couldn't have been better. How'd you like the trip?
I love the trip. These people are just wonderful. I had such a fun time meeting all these people and having fun with them. And my favorite part was getting a big old sauna. That sauna felt so good yesterday. Oh man, I tell you what.
Yep, it was good. Anything else?
Nothing. I think I just want to go back and get a really hot bath and consume mass quantities of fat.
Done deal.
This is a crossbow that I made, or I don't know, it's some kind of silicone tubing bow. And what this is a arrow. It holds the arrow down, and it's just a branch with a Y that I make it into like a teeter-totter. And there's a little string through this top of it that goes down underneath the part that hits the bolt. So I just tied around here. It's really quick to do. And if I lift this, if I push down on here, it'll lift the string up and let the rubber band go. Like that. So you can see the piece comes back and just tucks underneath there, and it holds it into this notch, and then it releases it when you pick it up past the notch.